that's what would annoy me, make me angry. In terms of how I normally react, it's more of a frustration in myself, and I don't know if that kind of counts in anger. If someone does score, or someone catches me with something that I feel like I should have avoided or should not have been hit with. It's kind of like I kind of take it out myself rather than just, and I don't know, that kind of spurs me on a wee bit to say that I'll not let that happen again in the match. So
what you've explained,
yeah,
so what you've explained is when you get hit, for example, you do become partially angry, but it's internalised rather than externalised. Do you feel that gives you an extra burst of energy, or?
It's a determination.
Okay.
And it's personality-wise, I am quite stubborn. So it is a bit of a stubbornness as well to say, do you know what? That won't happen again. You're not going to hit me with that again, and you're not going to score another point, so I'm not going to let it happen. And it's why did you not block that? Why didn't you move fast enough? Why didn't you? So it's internalised, and it's a bit of a, I don't know, if I kick up the arse or something, just lights a fire, to say, yeah, you're not going to do that again.
Do you find yourself intentionally making yourself slightly angry for that extra boost?
No, I don't. I don't go out my way to try and wind myself up. I quite like to go into these things to try and go into them level-headed at the start. Obviously, the play of the match and things kind of change that, but I don't. I know for some people that is a bit of a, kind of, people listen to music, listen to aggressive music and things like that to try and really kind of pump themselves up and stuff. I quite like to go in quite level-headed and kind of, I think for me, if I went in like that, it would cloud my judgment.
Okay.
So
would that impact how you performed, or just your array of techniques, or?
I think it would impact how I perform. It would take, for me, it would be, I would feel that it would, I would then spar reactively rather than, or spar emotionally rather than tactically, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it is a game. That's what it is. It's a point scoring game, and I kind of like to view it like that. But if I was kind of to wind myself up and to get that bit of anger and maybe before I went in, I would feel like I would react emotionally and maybe not be able to assess things as how I would like to assess the match, because you're kind of distracted by I just want to hit him,
So do you think anger would then negatively impact your performance overall?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And it would,
as in like rage, anger.
So yes. Rage and anger are slightly different.
Yes. Frustration helps me. It's internalised. Externalised anger, I think, would negatively. I've been in a few positions through the years where I can kind of remember where I've gone into matches and this maybe been when I was younger, maybe there's been a wee bit of beef outside, or not a disagreement, but just something that's maybe kind of niggling at you, and I've gone into a match and that's kind of clouded and changed how I've fought the match, because sometimes what if there's been a bit of a kind of disagreement, not just like a kind of low level something that was maybe kind of you really kind of fell out with someone. It happened before, and I kind of went in with a bit of an intention or an agenda, and it wasn't good for the situation. It wasn't good for me, so the whole actual game went out the window and the agenda took over, and that's a kind of externalised anger in my point. From my point of view.
Question: did you win with the externalised anger?
No.
So
I broke his nose.
moral victories.
But that's the game went out the window.
Yeah.
So, and that was years ago, and I kind of learned from that situation, but it was something that I kind of never went in again with because of that, because I tried not to go in again with, it's things that happen off the mat. For me now is irrelevant because at the end of the day, it's a competition, it's a game you're playing, so that doesn't matter anymore, But at the time when I went in with that, I didn't care what it was just a platform at that time to not, that's not the right word, in a controlled environment to vent frustration on someone else and externalise it, that particular person. So yeah, it's happened a few times, but it's not been beneficial for me.
So overall, what would you say the consequences are of you becoming angry in a fight?
I quite like to feel in control of the situation.
Okay.
In control of not, if you're getting beat as well, that's fine, but it's in control of how you react to something rather than controlling the opponent, if that makes sense. So if the anger kind of takes over, I feel that I'm not in control on how I react to the situation. It's not a thought out process. It's not a rational or a, because you've had all these years of practice and experience to, if this comes in, you should react this way and you should be able to counter attack and dodge and all that sort of stuff. I feel that goes out the window when a certain level of anger kicks in. Yeah.
I really like that answer. Don't know if I'm meant to tell you that, but I like that answer. So, deviating away slightly from the consequence element, do you think gender has an impact on the way Taekwondo athletes react with anger?
No, don't think so. I've seen females reacting just as, or probably worse than male counterparts with anger. In some cases, probably the same, probably worse. It's just it just depends on the person. Rather, I don't think gender comes into it. I think I think it just depends on the person's how they receive and how they deal with that emotion.
And coming on with the gender, now on to the age of the people. What about the age of the participant? Does that impact how they facilitate or anger during a performance? Or
I don't think age kind of comes into it. I think experience comes into it. Okay. So you could be, you could do your first competition at 18, and you've never been in that situation or controlled kind of fight environment, a combat sport environment, and react just as bad through anger as a 5-year-old doing their first competition. I think it's the experience of how many times you put yourself in that position and how you learn to deal with those emotions. Because anger, if someone hits you, anger, and it is a reactive and an instinctive emotion. If someone hits you, that hurt. You get angry, you want to get them back. So it's how you deal with that in that controlled situation, I think.
Yeah, I just seem to know quite a lot about anger, which is quite good. Most people don't know the depth about it, but it's an instinctive, reactive thing. It's not something that's self-generated initially. Yeah,
well, I just thought that was kind of just common sense a wee bit, but
you'd be surprised.
Really? Okay.
So the way you mentioned experience.
Yes.
Does experience of how many years you've held your black belt, or experience of competitions? Because also there's two different levels of experience there.
Yes.